Hey guys, I haven't put out a video in a while, so I wanted to touch on something that came as a surprise to me this week, or today specifically, and that is Gambit is terminating their contract with Leviathan. Now, Leviathan was Gambit's head coach and was one of the main reasons that, from an outside perspective, you could think that Gambit had been doing so well and actually being able to qualify for the playoffs. Now, that being said, Gambit is saying that he is, I guess, from what I read, he's slacked off in his work and is more so focused on outside endeavors. There's also some rumors going around about conflict between the players, and I actually want to talk about that as well. But besides this, I don't feel that there was a real reason to have Leviathan removed from the head coach position. I feel like he, as an outside play or as somebody from an out with an outside perspective and not within the organization itself, as it appears, is that Leviathan actually worked a lot of wonders with this team and was able to pick out all their individual strengths and use this to develop compositions like the one they ran for quite a long time, uh, to much success, where they use a triple dive composition and a hard disengage support just to keep Pinoy alive. Uh, and this brought them a lot of success that even one of the main reasons they qualified for the playoffs in the first place. Losing out to Unicorns of Love 1-3 in a best of five, that hurt. But if we go back and look at the games, it wasn't so much a draft issue where it was just massive underperformance by Gambit. Even one of their star players, Diamond Prox, performed very under par for, I'm assuming, his own standards as well, as long as everyone else's. We regard Diamond Prox as, one of the best junglers in at one time in the world, but at the moment he's, considered one of the best junglers in all of EU, and he just massively underperformed in this best of five in the quarterfinals. Now, this was a huge problem. It's the main reason they lost in my mind. But I don't feel like you can really put the blame on Leviathan for this or his disconnect with the players. It's more so from how the games went. It seemed to be more of a lack of performance from the players overall. Um, Now, not going into that too much, it's very disconcerting to see that an organization butted out like this. And I don't want to address rumors too much, but there was talks that there was disagreement with some of the players and with Leviathan. Now, this concerns me because I actually wanted to make a video about it, and it seems to be a reoccurring problem within the EU scene specifically. Um, I don't know why, but players' egos seem to be overlapping their judgment and their ability to work with others. And this is causing a big damper on the ability to perform well as a region. It's making it really difficult for teams to actually, bring in new players or find people they work well with because everyone, wants to work with well-known people, the best. And you can take a look at it and say, look at Fnatic. We have a player, Yellow Star. He's stuck with the organization. He he may have a bit of an ego. I'm sure all players do in the professional scene, and they have a right to. But he was willing to work with an entire new roster and build that team together with him and build the synergy it required to make it as far as they did to win the entire split or win the playoffs. Now, that's huge. You look at all these other teams that qualified even into the playoffs. Unicorns of Love, Copenhagen Wolves. Copenhagen Wolves has been around for a little bit. The players are kind of well known, but most of you can take a couple of those players. They're fairly new players. Unicorns of Love, brand new team. Fnatic, basically a brand new team. And these are all the teams that advanced. Well, Copenhagen Wolves didn't make it that far, but that being said, Fnatic, Unicorns of Love. I'll use these two as an example. Basically, entire new rosters, new players out of the scene. They come in, they do amazingly well. That's great. New blood talent showing that they can compete with the old names, compete at a high level. And it's not just all these old classic names or all these old players that are the only people that are talented enough to compete in LCS. Now, you have teams like Elements or SK even, where you have a lot of these older players who have been around in the scene for a while. And yes, they can perform at a high level, but I feel like a lot of what hampers them to grow as a team or mold with other teammates is their own ego. And this keeps them from being able to push forward and grow, become stronger as a unit. And I can see how this becomes complicated for coaches or analysts, and probably a reason why more teams need to start looking towards um, getting player psychiatrists or no, fuck, um, something, something about my brain pulled blank. But there needs to be respect between all the players and the coach and the staff and the management. Otherwise, you see disconnect, you see lack of performance. People start to perform not as well as they used to. People may intentionally throw games. You don't know this. And this is a serious problem. And a lot of this comes from people having, too big of an ego. Um, you see all these disconnects between elements right now from the rumors that players aren't getting along, that they're gonna split up, or certain people want to stay with certain people, and it's a serious problem, and it might be the only reason that's holding EU back as a region. Having Unicorns of Love come in and do as well as they did, having Fnatic come in and do as well as they did with the new roster. I mean, I'm not sure how much the coach did. I'm sure he had a huge impact. But hey, we haven't even heard much about Fnatic's coach. Meanwhile, he's the guy behind the team that just won EU playoffs. That's fucking huge. I don't want to go too much. I just wanted to make a short video, but I'm just afraid that as far as we see it, players need to start or take their ego, tone it down a bit, start working together to actually push forward. And unless that happens, EU is going to start slacking back as a region. You can just see it, see it in, you can see it in the soup. It's a weird analogy, but you can see it in the soup. Like, the teams with new rosters and new players, they're willing to work together, they're willing to grow. They performed extremely well this split. They made it into playoffs. They competed in the finals. You know what veteran teams did? Rockhat fell out. SK fell out. You got Rockhat, Nuke Duck, Yankos, Woolite. You got all these players, right? All these Vander, all these star players, all these top tier players. And where did they fall? They fall out. They almost got, or did they get relegated? Gosh, I don't even know anymore. It's just like SK, for example, again, N-rated, Svenskeren, all these players. And honestly, having an ego is good. It gives you confidence. It gives you the ability to push on and have an ability to not feel threatened against players you're playing against. But it can also be a huge drawback in a sense that when you start thinking you're better than everyone else and even your teammates or the management that's trying to help you improve, it's going to hamper your gameplay and it's going to hamper your ability to grow. And that's what I feel like potentially happened with Gambit and them releasing Leviathan. He had great success with that team. He put that team in a good spot, and it sucks to see him get removed like that. And I feel like it highlights a bigger problem that may need to be addressed with another video in the future when I have more time to, write or sit down, look at all the facts, and maybe talk about it some more. But I feel like player egos are something that's definitely going to be holding back EU as a region, and especially after this split and seeing the playoffs, I feel like it's a huge damper on our ability to play and the success that we may or may not have. Thanks for watching the video. I'll make another one soon. See you.